Knock it down the competition with the hottest party certified hip hop and R&B mixes. 953 Jamz.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I am David Austin, and welcome back to the Morning Drive with David Austin and Cheryl Underwood Radio, heard exclusively on Houston's Home for Jamz. That is 953jams.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what the assignment is. Make sure you go and check out that wonderful website at www.953jamz.com. Make sure you go to your social media platforms, find and follow us at 953jams. All you have to do is put in 953jamz. That works for Facebook, that works for Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, America. And when you're done with all that, find and follow me, David Austin, at INV David P. If you'd like to let your voice be heard here in the 95.3 Jam studio, you can drop us a line or give us a call. All you have to do is dial 832-743-5269. That's 832-743-JAMZ. Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, and I've been telling you guys all morning, we're going to have fun this morning. I'm going to have two people that are going to be joining us this morning. We're going to talk a lot. We're going to talk about a lot of things. First of all, we have a young lady who's in with us, Miss Yvonne Hand. This is a name that you guys, if you don't know it, you will learn it today. I look forward to it. We're going to talk about not just life in Hollywood and all the great things that she has done and is doing, but we're also going to talk about, her mental health advocacy as well. We're going to do that and so much more. We're going to get into that. We also have with us as well a young man that you guys know, maybe most famously for his role as Eddie Winslow on Family Matters, but he's done so much more than that. He is continuing to do so. We're going to talk about all of that and more. Please welcome to the Morning Drive. Please welcome Yvonne Hand and Mr. Darius McCrary. How we doing this morning?
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
Hi, how are you?
I am wonderful. We are wonderful. All right, guys, let's get into it. First of all, what brings you to Houston?
Well, I live in Houston.
I know.
Okay, yeah, and talking about, some great things that have been going on. I been acting and Coming to America. So I have a role there. I'm sorry?
Coming to America too?
Yes, Coming to America too. That's
you gotta
right.
let them know that.
Right.
I don't need people going to rent and Coming to America, going through the credits looking for you, and you're not there.
Right, Coming to America too, right?
There you go.
That's true.
And she's been getting coached by Michael Blackson. She's working on her African accent.
Yes.
He's our brother.
Michael,
we love him. He's a funny mother sucker. He's our brother from another mother. And Michael Blackson has been coaching her to be the best African.
Right.
She's been barking like a dog. She has been jumping on one leg, and she's been practicing to be the best African she can be. And Michael Blackson is helping.
I love that.
Yes.
Big shout out. Big shout out to my guy Michael Blackson.
Brother.
Back before being from,
sucker.
I love that. Back before being from Wakanda was cool. So let's get into that a little bit. Coming to America too. How do we get to the point where Miss Hand is in Coming to America too?
Well, I can't get into details about.
Oh.
Yeah,
right.
It's NBA,
but just
Hollywood.
know that.
People get sued and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Right, but just know I am in the movie part 2.
I love it.
And just look at, stay tuned.
Some great things happening.
I look forward to okay. Mommy Mogul Water.
Yes, Mommy Mogul Water.
Mommy Mogul Water. I like that when I saw it. Mommy
dear to
Mogul.
my heart. Yeah.
Right. Tell us about that.
It's catered to moms who work in school. Y'all know how it is, ladies, how, me being a mom of 4, it's hard, balancing everything, and God knows if you're in a relationship or you married, that you're still,
right.
As a wife.
You have an extra child.
Right, you have an extra child.
Right.
Exactly. So the water, it's a vitamin water, infused water, and recognizing our health, because we as ladies, we tend to, tend to everybody else except tending to us, taking care of our health, working out.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Are you falling for that, Dad?
I'm falling for it.
No,
I'm a sucker for brown eyes. I'm always getting hypnotized. Here's the 3 or 4 marriages I've been through.
So we expect to still look good, still
Look,
you know,
I'm with you,
everybody
Yvonne.
take
Look,
care of everybody.
come on. Look, I was with you up until we started hearing the sound story. Come on. You know, as ladies, come on. There's like 40 products. You know, as a guy, we have like this one corner in the bathroom. Right. Right.
And let's not even get into Father's Day.
Right.
I mean, how all the restaurants are full on Mother's Day, and on Father's Day they say, I thought you was going to barbecue.
I mean,
But
you
y'all
know,
know y'all work out
ladies.
We got barbecue on Father's Day, right?
Stop.
You know,
We're here to
Come on.
serve, though.
Right.
And this is a man's
y'all
world.
work those
James
quarters
Brown
out.
said,
Y'all
right.
like
but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman up girl.
It wouldn't be.
Whatever she says.
Hey, what Richard said, they got half the money and all of you know what.
Trust me. I know all about that.
So come
That's
on.
my
yeah, but to
ex-wife.
recognize our health, ladies,
No.
because it's a reminder. You know, the bottle is cute, and have you seen the bottle?
I have seen the
All
Bible.
right, so the bottle is made of glass, and it has a pink top.
It makes you want to drink.
It
It
does.
makes you
It
wanna
makes you
drink.
want to drink.
I drink the
Yeah.
Kool-Aid.
It's terrible.
See,
I'm
but it
frustrated now.
represents us as women. You know, we
I'm
gotta have
frustrated.
something to ourselves. You know,
Something.
something. Yeah.
Well,
I'm talking about as you know, as
Y'all have
peas
everything. Darius,
No,
come
we
on.
don't.
I mean,
You
you
got
know,
that.
Everything.
I will say, you know, we have to make sure that our queens are in position to
Okay.
support the
All
kings.
right. You right.
You know,
You
so
right.
So it
You
reminds
right.
Yeah,
us that
king
we
is
are
nothing.
the queen.
Yeah,
We
and
are
the king
the
is
queen
nothing
that's
without
holding
the
everything
queen.
together.
So
You right.
Yeah.
You
know,
right.
holding
Even
everything
though,
together.
even though I'm sitting there with my 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, and
Right.
moisturizer all in one.
Right. I mean, and look at the chessboard. The king
Exactly.
can only move one
One
space.
at a time.
One at a time.
What?
The queen, all
You
this,
look up and
that,
she
this,
way over there.
way over there. Damn. So hey, I mean, what you gonna
We
say?
have to be.
That's
Because
right.
if it was up to you, okay, that's another conversation.
That's
Be nice.
right.
I'm gonna be nice, y'all. Ladies,
Right.
I'm gonna be nice.
I
But
love that.
yeah, so and it's a start with working out and you know, because it's hard. I mean, I've
The
been
total package.
yeah,
I
I've
like
been
it.
heavily in the gym,
Mhm.
you know, for the last 4 months. So I've lost 20 pounds. I lost like 20 pounds. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but it's hard because, you know, we still have to balance everything. That's no excuse that we work out,
Yes.
that we
Right.
still,
Yes.
you know,
That's
Right.
right.
cooking. We still have to tend to our kids and life and everything. So
And it's important that we do build each other up.
Of course.
It is.
I'm so proud of this young lady, though. I mean, it's just amazing how she keeps her schedule. I mean, she's flying back and forth between Houston and Hollywood and all over
Right.
the rest of the country, and keeping up with her schedule and being selfless. I mean,
And being selfless.
She's an amazing philanthropist, you know, and an amazing mentor to a lot of the youth, you know, and it's really a beautiful thing to watch. You know,
Right.
I don't want to sound like I'm just a OG in this
Right, right.
but it's awesome to watch, you know, this younger crop that's coming up.
Right.
You know, really work and exert themselves,
Mhm.
you know, to a place of selflessness,
Right.
you know, to show and prove.
I say it routinely on the program. To me, that's the missing ingredient. When we talk about heroes, we throw those words like that around far too much, and that is the ingredient I think that is missing far too often. What I like about what you're saying is that I know that it comes from a good place. So it's not just that you're talking about 360 degrees of taking care of yourself. Mental health advocacy. You know, you are big on that. What makes that so important for you, Yvonne?
oh wow. I mean, when you're dealing with mental health, it's so silent because it's not
Yes,
physical.
Yes,
And it's a fast deteriorating,
that's right.
you know, area.
Yeah.
And with me, you know, being a giver and loving to make that person's life, you know, better. We're, you know, this world, you know, it's a lot going on.
It is, and so much is demanded of us.
Yeah. So that area of mental health, I go through problems. You know, I go through
We
problems
all
every
do.
day.
You by
So
yourself?
yeah, so when I got in this field, I mean, it's common sense. I mean, you know, well, I'm not gonna say common sense, but when I start to reach out to one person, you know, I find a lot that they're dealing with that they can't share with everyone because it's all about trusting that person, you know, all about trusting the person who's trying to help you. And it just turned into one person to the next person.
Right.
And next thing I know,
You're an advocate.
yeah.
And that's how it starts. It's
yeah.
it's like, you know, it's a beautiful thing when you're able to pass that fire,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, from one to another. Because like she said, we all do go through things, but everybody, you know, doesn't have an outlet.
Right.
And it's just a blessing when you find that outlet where you can get the help that you need.
Yeah. One of my best friends is Foxy Brown.
Okay.
And yeah, so we
Love you, Foxy.
Big
Yes,
shout out to
Foxy.
Fox.
my sister.
Right.
But we, you know, we go through a lot, but that bond that we have with dealing with, you know, mental health or whether it's, you know, physical, it really helps to have someone that's there that
Right.
you know that, hey, you know, I can count on you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
And when you're in the limelight too, I mean, you know, people think that you're watching a celebrity or somebody who you admire, and you always think that you know, people who are in the limelight have it all together. And what people don't understand is it's probably maybe 30 to 40 times harder on someone who's in the limelight than
Right.
it is. And we go through the same things that people who don't do what we do do as well.
Right.
I mean, it's just as hard, you know, for us as it is, you know, for people out there who aren't in show business or in the business of show.
Right.
You know, so it's a blessing when you have someone like Yvonne to be able to pick up the phone and talk to, or to encourage, and we have to encourage each other
Right.
in this circle. I mean, you know, I was sitting there watching you give us that intro, and I was like, how is he doing this, man? I mean, everybody thinks that they can do it until it's time to do it.
That's
I
right.
was like, I could be a DJ, and I heard you give us the intro. I was like, no, I can't.
It takes a lot of skill to make what I do look this simple. But you know what? We'll go there because, like you said, being a part of the business, you've been doing it for a long time.
Since I was 9 years old.
9 years old. And you know what? Like I said, most people know you obviously from being Eddie Winslow,
Yeah.
you know, on Family
He used to
Matters.
be my homeboy, but he don't take my calls. no more.
Right.
I mean, Hollywood's a funny place. You know, I called him, you know, because they're talking about doing this Family Matters reboot, and he won't even
I
answer
heard
my call.
that.
Yeah, he's holding out for more money.
Oh yeah, he sounds like a smart
God,
dude.
man,
Smart
what a
dude.
jerk.
Well, let me
Trying to
ask you
keep me
this.
from getting my bag.
You know, as
This
we
guy.
saw Eddie Winslow grow on, you know, on television, you know, in our homes, you know, part of our family kind of thing. How much do we see Darius grow as well?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question. I think that we were all blessed to grow together. And that's the beauty of a show like Family Matters that spanned it over a decade.
Right.
And, you know, over 300 plus episodes we were able to do by the grace of God and under the leadership of great producers, David Ducline, Bob Boyette, Tom Miller, whose names are synonymous with success, like Silver Spoons, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Perfect Strangers, Full House. I go on and on about
Boy,
these
you
guys.
dropping
Bill
some
Bixby, Michael
hits.
Warren,
You dropping some hits.
Growing Pains.
Right.
I mean, these were the men.
Right.
This show came from the minds of these men.
Right.
You know, so it was no accident or secret why the show was as successful as it was. You had gasoline to fire by putting in Reginald Johnson, Joe Marie Payton, and Jaleel White, who was just a captain to the rocket that was going to the moon anyway.
Right.
You know, so we were able to grow together, and I think that's why when people see these shows that are now in the stages of reboot, you know, it brings a level of comfort because these are the things that were familiar to you while you were going through your awkward stages, while you were going through your pubescent stages.
Right.
These are the things that are familiar to you, and it kind of feels like home. So, you know, for me as an entertainer, and this is something that I'm so proud of Yvonne for, you know, she's finding her footing as an actress, you know, and as an advocate, you know, and see, you have to understand that when you're given a platform, you gotta stand for something.
Right. Yes.
You gotta stand for
Yes.
something.
We have those conversations
you know,
on here routinely.
So you know, I feel that whenever you're given an opportunity to perform, you have to find something that anchors you to that character.
Right.
And so, you know, I came from a family where I was the eldest brother.
Okay.
And so I was able to grow at Eddie Winslow while you guys grew with me.
All right. So let me ask you a question. Did you, you know, did you really like that car that you had on the show?
I hated that car.
I know, right? What was that?
I hated that
What was
car.
that? I was like, man, this guy's one of the best actors I've ever seen.
I'm from LA, man. I want an Impala.
Man, what was
Give
with
me a
that?
deuce.
I was like, what is that? You know, I remember the disappointment when when Carl brought that car home.
It was the purple people eater.
What is that? Come on, guy. I couldn't stand that.
Super sport, man.
He's never gonna pick up girls in that car. Never gonna happen.
But I love the storyline.
Yeah.
I thought that it was brilliantly executed, and that's what I grasped a hold of, and I gravitated to, because I had a great relationship with Reginald Bell Johnson. My parents divorced after years of marriage, over 25 years of being together, and it was devastating. And Reginald Bell Johnson really was a father figure and a patriarch. And it wasn't that I wasn't close to my father when my mother and dad, decided to go their separate ways. They did an amazing job of co-parenting. And this is before social media and all of that stuff, so you had to really work back then. You couldn't text.
Right.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How's the baby? Hi.
Right.
I'm not gonna respond. It wasn't that. You had to show up and be there. But Reginald Bell Johnson really did a great job of being in not only my life, but in all of our lives, and not overstepping his boundaries. And so we were able to connect as actors and as black men as well to show that camaraderie and that relationship. And I think that it was a blessing to be able to have those kind of storylines.
It was. I really enjoyed those. Like you said, the Perfect Strangers. Kind of spin off from that, because she worked in the elevator.
Yeah,
your mom worked in the elevator.
Imagine that. There were actually people who used to work in elevators back in the day.
Exactly.
Imagine that. You used to have to pull over and use a payphone.
Right. Gosh.
I definitely want to add to, not only as Darius playing, Eddie, just as a person, he's very kind and just beautiful on the inside and out. So I just wanted to,
that's awesome.
So blessed.
And those are the things. We need that, because those are the things that people don't realize, that they don't see. Because as they see, like you said, you find yourself in the character, but what people see, they don't know, the actual Darius. So let's go here, because one of the things that you did, Mississippi Burning.
Yes.
All right.
That was a blessing.
Now,
another one.
You were how old when you did Mississippi Burning?
9 years old.
9 years old, you did Mississippi Burning. Now, I am old enough to remember when Roots ran for that week that it ran, from Sunday to Monday.
Yes.
That Roots ran.
And that was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And so there have been other movies. We have movies like Sounder, Where the Red Fern Grows, and Miss Jane Pittman, and A Woman Called Moses, and things like that.
Yes.
But there was a big gap from when those movies were created to when Mississippi Burning was done. And I know at 9 years old, you don't realize the impact that it had then, but having grown older,
I knew.
Look back, really?
I knew.
Okay.
I knew, because you have to say, once again, there was no social media, so we weren't on set filming. Hey, I'm going up right here. I'm going up. You know what I'm saying? We going live. I'm in Mississippi. I'm with Willem Dafoe and Gene Hackman, baby Alan Parker. We're doing this. No, it wasn't any of that. It was a closed environment. We were shielded to a degree, but people don't know that film was not. We weren't actually allowed to film in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where the incident took place.
Right.
They had to film it in Jackson, because the people ran us out of there. Literally, there were protests. So we were pulling up to the hotel, and there were people who were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan and other groups that were there, and you could feel the tension. So I had the awareness, and I was cognizant enough to know how important this was. And then my mother, being from New Orleans, Louisiana, I would hear the stories from my great-grandmother. We went and visited my great-grandmother. And I used to, even back then as a child, like I said, I was aware enough to be able to do the homework. I would take my notes and do the homework. I wanted to know, and I would study civil rights. And I studied what actually happened to these 3 civil rights workers who lost their lives, sadly. And these stories, it's a blessing that we were able to tell these stories. And kudos to Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe for embodying those characters and really taking on those characters and staying true to what it was. And Alan Parker, once again, was a brilliant director and storyteller. But it was a pretty impactful situation, and it was no accident or coincidence that it won Oscar for Best Picture when it did. And it's awesome too now that it's actually a part of the curriculum for the kids actually in today's school have to watch this film. So it's a blessing.
So to look back on it now, obviously as an older person, you can have a greater appreciation for the global social impact that it had. Were you aware at that time, at that age, because there were near riots breaking out in movie theaters around the country?
Yes.
Because of that. So, when you hear that as a child, and what are you thinking when you hear that stuff?
Once again, I knew what this was. I actually was injured on that film. One of the actors, who was a great guy, who had no intentions of hurting me, he was Michael Rooker, who's still one of my favorite actors to this day. When he had to kick me,
I knew that's
down.
where you were going.
Yeah, I actually was injured, because it was that much intensity and energy and electricity on the set. And once again, when you have a great director like that and such a great cast and a great script and a real story, I will say it was kind of like culture shock for me, because my first film that I ever did was a movie called Big Shots.
Right.
And I was a streetwise kid who was coming from Chicago, driving Mercedes-Benz and popping locks and stuff. And so I came from Chicago, which still had an air, of dissension, where race is concerned. Right. It was in the air, to Mississippi, where it was just in your face. It was culture shock. And once again, I don't think that we as a people were prepared for that, because information wasn't readily provided for us. Right. You had to go into a book and find it. You couldn't just Google it. So we didn't know about this story. Right. This story wasn't told. This was one where, we saw the videos and the footage of the German shepherds being sicked on us and the hoses being turned on us and civil rights and us, we should overcome. But this wasn't a story that was told. Right. So, I think that people were angered when they saw that, and the social impact, it was tremendous. And I think that more stories like this need to be told, and that's part of
it's funny how it falls under mental health. There was so many, destruction and so many disorders that was brought out of that. And that's the reason I am coming out with a podcast in New York. On mental health. So definitely it's a lot of areas in the mental health that needs to be addressed. So this is a time where
us as African Americans, especially, because we've been through so much. And how do you heal? How can you thrive when you're trying to survive and trying to heal? And that's one of the great things that we're doing. We have some awesome productions, in development. Okay. And Miss Yvonne is bringing Hollywood to Houston.
I love that. Hollywood to Houston.
And I do want to say this part. I have helped homeless, people who are homeless. Yes. And that's been a great part of me, being a business owner, to have the pleasure to bring them from, off the streets and into housing and support programs, which one of our projects is where we're helping the homeless in that huge
awesome,
way.
Because that is certainly a need that we have. One quick thing, before we move further on, because I'm a little older than you. So when you were 9, while you were 9 making that movie, I was actually in the military at that time.
Wow.
And
thank you for your
I was actually, hey, don't thank me too quick. They didn't tell me we was going to Desert Storm before our time. They sprung that one on me in the middle of the night. Hey, wake up. What, huh? What? Iraq, what? So, but,
cousin is served up there, so I can dig it. Man, I heard stories.
Right. But, I was actually at a movie theater, and a couple of gentlemen that we were with, we had one of those moments in the theater, because at that moment that you're speaking of, there was a gentleman behind us that said, "Kick him again."
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you, and just in all honesty, I live my life is open secret, and it's still hard for me to watch, right? Because you're 9 years old, and the director's saying you're watching your farm be burned down. There are men who are acting like Ku Klux Klansmen who are coming into your home, and they're breaking out windows, and to know that these things really happen, right? And sadly enough, are still happening. The only difference now is we have cameras, to record these incidents, and we just have, it just is a reminder that we have so much more work to do. Right. And that's, one of the things that I'm really proud of, the work that we're doing together. Yvonne, she's just an amazing humanitarian. And I think that if more of us were selfless.
Say that again.
Yeah.
More of us.
And more of us could get away from the ego. Right. Because that ego means edging God out.
I like that.
Then we go.
Right.
We get away from ego, there we go. And and that's what we're doing, and that's what this is about. And I think that if we can continue to inform the youth, and we can pay attention to and monitor mental health, because that's really where it really starts.
Yeah, and I believe as the awareness is put out there, because me being in the corporate world, I mean, you know, I know that it gets busy. I mean, our schedules are crazy, and
Yeah.
you know,
The demands are crazy.
so I believe, so it's not. I don't believe that it's meant for this area to be neglected.
Right.
You know, if I could speak on both sides, but I believe like with us bringing, you know, Darius and I bringing the awareness out that hey, this is going on.
And these
you know,
feelings are real, and this stuff is happening. You're not
that is
imagining this
happening.
stuff. I mean, like there was an episode of Family Matters that's one of my favorite episodes, and it's still relevant today. Once again, kudos to these writers and producers. Brady Winslow got pulled over.
Right, and the racist cop.
Right,
I
and
remember
Carl,
that episode.
once again,
Right.
Reggie, my dude, because we had that connection, really being true to that and playing, he went and pulled up on them officers, like, hey, homie, that was my son. Like, what you know, I mean, and if we can continue to project these images and show, you know, and allow the room for family to be family, whether mothers and fathers are together or not.
Right.
You know, allow fathers to be fathers in a child's life.
It's tough.
Man,
And you know, I talked about it on the program
huge.
a couple of days ago. There are a lot of things that we could solve, a lot of problems we would solve, a lot of things that we see we wouldn't see if we were allowing that. And it's difficult.
Yes.
As we strip a little bit away all the time.
Yes.
You know, I use men's basketball, the national team, as an example.
Okay.
Because we slowly changed the way we play the game here in America.
Right.
Now we're at a point now where we're 7th best in the world.
Isn't that crazy?
It ain't crazy, because that's what happens when you do that.
Well, exactly. Exactly. That's it. When you break it down.
Speaking as a mom, you know, I've been through, you know, divorce and everything, and we had kids, but what has helped me, and you know, with my ex-husband and everything, is it is a give and take, because it's already that it's a circumstance of separation. So I found that I had to be the bigger person, you know, whereas when I was younger, you know, in my previous marriage, I wasn't the bigger person.
Right.
So if I could, you know, say that, you know, being the bigger person, sometimes that is not about, you know, being right.
That's
you know,
right.
because as a single mom, like, you know, it's already stressful that the other party, you know, the dad is not there, so we're you know, taking them to school and, you know, feeding them, and, you know, so it's all, you know, it's that thing as far as like, you know, now is where you separated, so there is some bitterness. So with the father, you know, I feel like that he's, you know, like the father do tend to be like, okay, you know, if I give you money, then you're gonna spend it on, you know, your nails, getting your nails done, your hair done, you know. So we like, okay, why are you nitpicking on giving money? Like, it's going to everyone in the child. So I feel like I tended to, you know, I didn't take him to court, you know, for child support, because, you know,
That's
with
big.
my first husband, you know, I did that, and the courts came in, and they only see you as a number.
That's
you
right.
know, they
That's
only see
it.
you as
It's
a
all
number.
about money.
So
That's
it
right.
brought more
Talk about it.
problems than it didn't.
Right.
You know, it became a bigger problem. So, you know, in my second marriage, I didn't take him to court, and I feel like that men, you guys are easily to feel pressure, you know, and when you feel pressure, it's like, I don't want no drama, you know, so you tend to just, you know, get away from everything, which the child is included. So when I did that, I'm telling you, like, I was like, what in the world? Like, he just started picking, you know, our twins up and started being involved, and, you know, and his thing was, okay, he had everything set up in his other home, their clothes, everything. So, you know, it was like, okay, since I don't have to give child support, you know, I'm going to take care of the kids. And it actually, like, when I saw my twin daughter come down the stairs when he was, you know, at the door one time picking them up, and the look on her face, like she just lit up, like my daddy is, you know, downstairs. And that's when it actually brought tears to my eyes, and that's when I was like, okay, this is what it's about. It's about the children, you know, being happy.
It's about that. It is. And speaking of which, you have twins now, a boy and a girl, right?
Yes.
Isn't that awesome? How do you actually get twins? What kind of magic has to happen to have two babies at one time?
Sound like a whole lot of shaking going on.
Right. Is it like the thread count on the sheets?
You gotta
Like
put that extra in
right,
there.
what you know what I'm saying? You know,
Extra love.
you have to have like a grandma's quilt. Like what's in there? What's in the recipe to make two babies at one time?
That good.
Well, I did go through, I did have to seek, extra help at a fertility clinic. Y'all are crazy. At a fertility clinic because I had multiple miscarriages before them.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah. And they got twins. They have a twin. And they travel with me.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
they
awesome.
attend online schooling.
That is awesome.
And I have a teacher who is still, with them, with us to follow the curriculum, and it's wonderful. I mean, they love traveling.
Right.
They love traveling. They're 6 years old. They'll be 7 on Halloween. And when I tell you, they're like 20 in a 6-year-old's body.
Right.
I mean, my twin daughter, she's the boss.
I was about to ask.
She
who
has
is?
her
Somebody.
luggage. They have their luggage, and they're like, we're ready. We're ready to go to Miami, New York. Yeah, so we're ready.
But you can see the light. If I could add, you can see the light in them. Like, and it really comes from good parenting and love. I mean,
Right.
for real, that's where it all starts. It's like it's so deep when you can see the light in those babies.
Yeah.
And the love.
Right.
That's just.
Yeah.
It's like wow.
And there's no instructions to,
No.
corporate mom, because I was like, okay. And mind you, like their grandparents was like, what are you doing? Why do you have them in school? Why you not gonna, you're gonna have what online school? What are you talking about?
Right.
And I was just like, okay, I know this is different, but I knew that I didn't want to be away from my kids all the time. Like I travel so much, and they just bring light to me, so much. And I'm really, firm on, being involved in their life as a mom, being able to balance, the corporate world and being a mom, So I mean, I wouldn't take it back. It's beautiful. I get to do my daughter's hair every morning.
I love it.
Yeah, and so it's beautiful.
Well, I love it. I think that is special. Well, real quick, I know you guys, on a tight schedule, so I appreciate you guys sticking around for as long as you have. But before we get out of here, do we see more of Darius and who he is, on camera or when he's performing music?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I think that you'll probably get the most of Darius when there's music involved. It's an easier form of expression. Being that I come from a musical family, my father, Howard McCrary, the McCrarys, growing up, around the Jacksons and, Rick James and Shaka Khan, it's just a natural thing, and I'm able to really express it. Usually when I'm acting, unless it's a project I'm producing, I'm saying someone else's words, and I'm able to bring, a derivative of Darius. But when I'm able to express it in song, I feel like it's a ministry,
I like that.
Yeah,
So we're gonna see you push more of that aspect of who you are coming
Absolutely.
up here.
Yeah, we got some stuff that we're working on.
Anything we can talk about?
Yeah, well, shout out to Yvonne Dawkins and the Heritage Music Group, 1500 Nothing, and those guys. We do some amazing productions. We're doing some cool music stuff, and so yeah, we're definitely gonna have some stuff coming up. Project called Scars and Stripes that we're working on.
I like that.
Yeah, our scars are our stripes.
Absolutely.
A lot of times we tend to try and cover those scars up, but the more scars you have, the higher in rank that you are.
You're right.
If you look at the words depression, you'll find if you reverse the lettering, you'll find I pressed on.
I pressed on.
So you gotta keep on pressing on through it. And remember, we got a lot of buildings been done on our back. But ain't nobody gonna give you no slack.
Yeah, I love it. I love
So
it.
true.
I love that, guys. You know what? I really appreciate you guys for coming in. Big shout out to Bing Range. You were talking about him off air before we got on. I really did enjoy that movie as well when you played Ali and that. I'm telling you. And my favorite line in there was in the bathroom. He said, I wash my hands before. What? Was that not the line of the movie? Before. I was my hands been full.
Man, they want to Emmy for that, man. I mean,
He did.
It was an awesome
awesome
project to be a part of. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so guys, I know we gotta get out of here, man. No, I appreciate you guys for coming in. You know, that is, thank you one more time, Yvonne Hand and the one and only Darius McCrary. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Morning Drive with David Austin Show, Underwood Radio.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Guys, we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna continue with the greatest morning show in the land. I am David Austin. Everybody stay right where you are. We're gonna be back right after this.